Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science is now teaching us that everything is energy, and that energy is interconnected and interdependent. In essence, that energy is one thing. Now, ancient wisdom and spirituality has been teaching the truth of oneness for eons, and science is now catching up. But this isn't even new science. This science of quantum physics is over 100 years old. So this is something we should know as a humanity, as a species. We should know that we're all connected. So what you do to another person, you're literally doing to another aspect of yourself. And when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is Remember Who You Are with Yolanda Marie. Yolanda, welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. Thank you. Now, I discovered... Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for being my guest. I discovered you on YouTube. I actually have been, I would say for the past 6 months or more, listening to the Arcturians, because I was first I was listening to the Pleiadians, and then I discovered the Arcturians. I'm like, oh, I'm really digging their messages. So every day, that's my news. I stopped watching mainstream news 19 years ago. That was a direct order from my higher self. That was the first time my higher self shouted at me. It was right after 9/11. My higher self shouted at me and said, turn off that news and don't ever turn it back on. And I was over. I didn't know why.
It was so inundated then too, just how it is now. We were inundated with that.
Yes. So I didn't know why, but I was obedient at that time. I didn't find out why until 11 years later, but I was obedient. So my news is channel messages. So I listen to you almost daily. So yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So please.
I'm honored.
Oh, you're so good. You're so good. So please share. So I know a little bit about you, but please share with our listeners your journey.
Okay, Caroline, don't get mad at me, but I have to first, before I forget, say something about what you were saying in your introduction, because it will fly, then we'll be on to the next thing. The quantum physics that you said, it's important that we know, and that it's been around for so long at this point. Why don't we know? Well, we can get into that later, I know, about the why, right?
Yes.
But what's happening is, the messages that I'm receiving are because we are requiring ourselves to know at this point.
Okay.
It's beyond that we should know it. You are completely correct. Why don't we know? That is very, very valid, super valid.
Yes.
Also, from a higher perspective, this is just where we're going. Like, in order to create this thing, understand how to maneuver within this thing, thing being the higher frequency living, we must know.
Yes.
We must learn these things. That's why so many of us are just having these details, ideas, information, we're waking up in the middle of the night with it.
Yes.
It's information.
Yes.
So I don't mean to veer.
No, that's perfect.
Away.
No, that's absolutely perfect. No, exactly. I'm the same way. If I don't say it when it comes into my head, it's gone. So I'm the same exact way. No. Now, so please share. So I know that you channel the Arcturians. So please explain how that all happened, like explain your journey, your spiritual awakening, and also who they are.
Well, I first want to say, you said, in addition to that, in addition to the Arcturians, you listen to messages from the Pleiadians as well.
Yes.
I've got to tell you, and this is not just me, but I think it's because of my specific purpose and my path. I am connected to many different types of beings, and the Pleiadians are a large part of what I'm doing too. In fact, I really should be channeling some messages from the Pleiadians as well, but because of the quantum physics aspect of
Right.
what they want me to know, the Arcturians are just having more information for me right now. But
Okay.
the Pleiadians, surprisingly, they're warriors. When I first began to learn about this,
Okay.
I always pictured them and felt like I got a feeling from the Pleiadians just when I would listen to somebody's channeled message or read something, very joyful. I felt more connected to them,
Yes.
you know, just very light, right?
Yes. Yes.
But this might surprise you, and this isn't a bad thing, what I'm going to say here, but it really was surprising to me that the Arcturians actually ended up being very light, very playful, laughing all the time, laugh through me all the time. And the Pleiadians, the specific ones who are connected to me,
right,
are warriors.
Okay.
They're the ones that want me to come out, and I eventually will say more about these things, what we were talking about, like the why. Why is it that this physics that is known by some on this planet withheld from us?
Right.
Also, they don't understand it completely either, but just the knowledge of it and the acknowledgement within the scientific community, why are they so cut off? So see, those are the type of things that the Pleiadians who are connected to me, they're like, yeah, we want people to know, get people ready, right?
Yes.
So I had that completely backwards. I just have to say that. And so that was mind-blowing to me.
No. I understand what you're saying. Because like for me, I was on a spiritual search for many, many, many years, but it was science. Science woke me up to spiritual truths.
Wow.
Science was the missing piece for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's not really different. We are taught that it's something different.
Right.
So, but how did I get, well, okay.
Yes.
So I'm and I did not realize this until about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Time acts different with me now. So hopefully I will give you the exact right dates and all of that, but
that's okay.
Yeah, it's going to come how it comes.
Yes.
But I believe about 2.5 years ago, I realized I was a Blu-ray. Now this was a little bit after, so about 2 years ago, this was after I realized that I was channeling, hearing spirit guides. I didn't know who yet. You know, it all just started to trickle in. But see, this is the funny thing. We were talking a little bit earlier before this began, before we started recording, about triggering people, right?
Yes.
This is why it's so important when somebody gets triggered by us.
Yes.
We're doing a valuable job there, because what happens is we get thrown into, we get information slammed into us or thrown into us when we are triggered. It's often when we're not looking for it. So that's kind of how it happened to me.
Okay.
I was already very aligned with this world, but I didn't know how much. Okay. I was more along the lines of, okay, I'll tell you what, the couple of things that woke me up very, very young. Let me just start there.
Okay,
my sister, who is 7 years older than me, of course, went to college much earlier than I did, obviously, and came home with this book called The Kabbalion.
Okay.
About Hermetic philosophy, the 7 Hermetic principles and these things. Now, I think I was like, maybe when I discovered the book, I might have been 16 already.
Okay.
So that's very young to run into a book about the metaphysical and about transmutation and alchemy and all of these things.
Right.
Because I was raised in church, but it never felt right anyway. You know what I mean?
I'm right there with you. I'm right there.
It never made complete sense, because the messages that I was receiving there, and I don't want to offend anyone listening who is still involved in church, because there are many things that we're going to be involved with and take part in because we were on that path and we're there for a reason. I just want to say that. Okay.
That's true. Yes.
Each of these things is a step to a step to a step to a step. So I'm not suggesting that, you know, everybody in church is wrong, or I'm not saying any of those things. Okay.
Right. I get you.
But at the time, well, I want to make sure to point that out, because just on the off chance that somebody is listening, that is going to need to hear this, many times, and I know this from my own family, if I say something like that and it's a trigger, they will shut the door.
Yes, they shut down. They stop listening. I'm going to share something with you.
Oh, okay.
I was very, very, very active in church. It never resonated with me, but I was active when I was active in church because it was a social gathering.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I was a single mother. I was divorcee with 2 young children. When I moved here to the Poconos, I got involved in church because it was my social network, basically.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of, I mean, I would listen to every word of the sermon, and I'd be like, yeah, that's my, yeah. But it just no, that doesn't resonate. That, but I would never voice that, of course, in church. But when I had my awakening, like I said, it was science, and that was 2007. And that's when I said I had to leave the church, because it was my soul saying, this doesn't resonate with you, this isn't your walk. So I thought, and I struggled with that decision, because I was thinking, oh, my friends are there. I was like, and I think, but then Spirit said to me, oh, if they're truly your friends, they will still be your friends.
Yeah, that's
They're
right.
all gone. Now, one of my very closest friends from church, and we, even after I left, we stayed in contact. And but when I was preparing to launch my show, I was lining up guests. And one of my guests that I was lining up was a channel. Like you are, was a channel. I mentioned that to him. He said, I am done with you. I'm like, what? Yeah. I was like, what are you afraid of? He's like, he didn't answer the question, because it was speaking from fear, from a place of fear. And I was like, what are you afraid of? He's like, he didn't answer the question. It was click. And honestly, I still send him birthday cards. I still, let him know I still love him as a friend. We were never romantic or anything. It was just a platonic friendship, but he was like a big brother to me.
Well, some of that is also the addiction to polarity. It's just needing the polarity, for this to be right and for this to be wrong.
Right.
Not understanding that there is a middle ground.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That there is a Yeshua. There is a Jesus who walked the earth.
Yes.
But what you understood, or what you were told,
right,
and also through generations, whole generations, what you understand even in your biological memory from what they've been told is that one thing happened.
Yes.
But really it was something completely, maybe not completely different, but a much different version is what actually happened.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And
so
I believe
that's tough.
Yeah, I believe Jesus, Yeshua teachings were misunderstood. That I believe Jesus was teaching exactly what I'm teaching: unconditional love, oneness, that we're all one. He said, I am one with the Father. I always say that, I say to people, Jesus said, I am one with the Father. He didn't say only me.
And this is translated.
Yes.
But even what we're saying, the sentiment is the same, but the literal, even the literal written translation from one text manuscript to the next, things are lost in translation there too.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
But I do believe Jesus's message was all about unconditional love, and that is what my message is. So I believe Yeshua, Jesus, and I, we're like this. Yes, but I didn't mean to interrupt. I did want to tell you about that experience. Like, at first I would say, oh, but I won't have any more friends. But it's like you meet more people. You can't stay stuck in one place because you feel, okay, well, my friends are gonna leave me.
But you wouldn't expand.
You won't expand. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. It's a reminder, and it's not that the friend can't come along or that the friend can't expand with you, but that's the friend's choice.
Exactly.
Because the friend is a sovereign being.
Yes.
And the friend, and we forget this, the friend also has a role.
Right.
We don't know.
Yes.
That friend might have the role to stay there a little longer because they're supposed to incite something over here. They're supposed to have a reaction over here. Yes. And so from a higher perspective, we all know this. It's so funny when I have visuals of what we're doing in the astrals, and then also what our other selves are doing. Because we have spirits who share our consciousness.
We're multidimensional.
That's right.
I say that word all the time. I don't know why. We're multidimensional being of light. Yes, yes, beings of light. Yes. But now go back to, so your sister, older sister, came home.
Oh yes.
Yes, let's go.
She brought this
I'm
book.
bringing you right back. I didn't let
Thank you.
I didn't let you lose your place. Okay. Okay.
So she brought in this book called The Kabbalion that a lot of people might know, but some might not. But it is, you can find it. And she had the actual book. I never saw it for years and years and years went by, and nobody ever had. I don't know how she got her hands on this book.
Okay.
But this would have been back in 1990. Oh, I don't know. 2, 3, 4. I don't know. Something like that. Okay.
Okay.
In the early 90s or mid 90s. Okay. And so long story short, you just didn't find that just hanging around. Also, and this is, I'm going to call it spirit. We know it's more complicated than that, but especially back then, I didn't know it was that much more complicated. So spirit was putting stuff everywhere for me, like leaving breadcrumbs.
Yes.
Even at that age, probably I'm sure before then, and there were some instances before then that we probably will talk about that I just realized later in life, real instances, because I was told that didn't happen to you. But anyway, so that book came in, and also my mother, who, it was sort of out of character of her because she did out of character for her, although she raised us in church.
Right.
She was very, very open-minded, but it was like she was in the closet open-minded because you kind of had to be.
She was me. That was me in the church. I was a closet open-minded person. Yes.
I was too for a long time.
Yes,
in and out.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so she brought other books in too. She brought in Edgar Cayce.
Yeah.
She brought in, I'm going to leave some people out, okay?
Right, that's okay.
But because I didn't really prepare too much for this because I just wanted them to be able to come through me. But she brought in Edgar Cayce. She brought in Sylvia Brown.
Okay.
And the Sylvia Brown, and I know that sometimes she can be controversial. People have their opinions here and there. But if you, especially back then, didn't get your hands on a lot of this information at all.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you have a book from a psychic, like a world-renowned psychic.
Yes.
Who is saying that she is talking to her spirit guide, Francine.
Yes.
What?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe her name was Francine. It's been a long time. I've got the book probably over here on the bookshelf somewhere, but I believe her name was Francine.
Okay.
Or is Francine. Sylvia's at the spirit guide.
Okay.
And then she's talking about all of these levels, and she's still speaking in terms, and I understand the why of this now, but she's speaking it more in terms of religion, right?
Yes.
And that was a good thing back then. That's going to reach more people, right?
Yes, exactly.
So she talked about the layers to heaven, the different, and I can't remember how she phrased them because there's so much information we have now since.
Right.
But she was basically describing all of these different ways of experiencing yourself as you move through consciousness after you die or before you die. You know what I'm saying? Before you come in, like all of these different things that I'd never heard of, but instantly knew was true. Yes. Instantly, as I read this information, same with the Kabbalion.
Yes.
Instantaneously, I said, oh, yep. Ding, ding, ding. Got it.
Yes. That's exact. Your soul knows. Like when I was sitting in church and listening to some sermons, I don't know if I was physically shaking my head. I hope I wasn't. But I was in the back anyway, because I was, like I said, I was the media person. So I was in the back running so even if I was physically shaking my head, people wouldn't see me. But honestly, no, from the time I was 5 years old, my parents sent me to Catholic school. We had religion every day, but my father said children are to be seen and not heard. So but I knew what I was hearing.
It didn't make sense here.
But as soon as you hear it, yeah, it's like, yes, your soul knows. Your soul, your heart knows what rings true to you. That's the only place to find it.
And it activates you through. So the more you're willing to let yourself be that, the further you go. And then like for me, and I'll just give my experience, although this is how, from what I understand, it just happens with all of us. Some of us, we just will let it all out at once. And that's okay. That's what we came to do. That's the timeline. That's what it is. And others, especially Blu-rays. And I think I was going to say that earlier. I learned that.
And you got to tell me what Blu-ray, if I forget to ask you, please tell me. I don't know I've never heard the term. You got to tell me. What's a Blu-ray?
We are in a group of people who came in, or a group of souls who came in, okay? purposely into this incarnation with the purpose, we have certain characteristics about us. I'll put it to you that way. You might have heard of like crystal children, rainbow children. This is what I'm referring to, like the different sorts of energies.
Okay.
That as the human collective consciousness realized that this was the time, and it was in accordance with the cosmos and all of that. So it's not that astrology is wrong. Sometimes that happens. We tend to think one thing over here is right, so it must be wrong. Right.
It's all connected. It's all connected.
Connected.
I've had 2 astrologers, experts, and it's all connected.
It's all connected. They're so dead on, aren't they?
Yes.
It falls right in line with the messages I get, and one is not affecting the other.
Exactly.
You know, it can if you allow it, but that's another story. But not necessarily at all. It's just that's how it's flowing. I'll be giving a message, and then the next day I'll, maybe populate YouTube, and something will come in, and I'll go, what? And it's the same thing.
Right.
We don't know each other. Yeah. So you.
Yes, I get you. Yes.
So the different types of energies that came in each had different sorts of purposes. So you have these energies that came in.
Okay.
That were supposed to be insiders, instigators. They're angry. They are more, and these are younger than me. The generations that were born a little bit later than me, not a full generation later, but anyway, so they're going to be more of the upset. I'm going to shake up the system, right? Well, the blue rays are typically going to be more, not necessarily so, but tend to be around my age. Okay. I'm over 40. We talked about this.
Yeah. Look like a baby.
Oh, you're way too kind. So we are stabilizers.
Yes.
We are very foundational, and many of us, and I learned this this is how this goes. You learn it after the fact, right?
Yes.
Follow the breadcrumbs, and I realize, and I'm meeting all of these other blue rays. We each have similar experiences. We come in and out of waking up.
Okay.
We get to a certain point, and then that's enough. Okay. I got to go back in my shell, but we never truly forget. Mm-hmm. What we have done in the past. Now this is done now, okay?
Right.
But in the past, we assimilate.
Okay.
Just enough to be able to function.
Okay.
And I'm realizing and learning more information even today. Every day I learn more information.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah, right. That is a perfect thing to have happen, because what's happening is we stay just in terms of the physical human mind and the chemicals we're used to, the way that they balance, we stay just stable enough, just sort of like midstream enough that when the stuff hits the fan, right?
Yes.
We are right there underneath. We awake just at the right time, because I couldn't figure out why am I just understanding that this is what I'm supposed to be doing? Why did this take so long? Why didn't I know this? Well, because I wasn't supposed to be.
It wasn't
fighting the power earlier.
Yes, everything. Now this is something I kind of knew as soon as I was awakened, which was 2007 was the year that I was awakened through quantum physics. It was a documentary called What the Bleep. That's what was the inspiration to my awakening. And once I woke up, I knew everything is happening in perfect divine timing. So when I must have been in my early 40s at that time. So it wasn't, it wasn't like, oh, why did it take so long? It's everything happens in perfect divine timing. Yes.
Oh, it's always, when it first happens, it's just like everything makes sense. It's like dominoes just falling,
Yes.
And it was definitely a shock. It was a shock for me, even getting into, because I actually began reading tarot cards.
Okay.
I fast forwarded way forward. I better back up. Before we even get to all of that.
Okay.
I actually have, a couple of degrees. I mean, I was very assimilated, but I was never comfortable.
Okay.
I do want to say that. I'm being led to say that. So somebody's going to listen that needs to hear this.
Yes.
Because I was very I can pass for just your regular standard person, but it feels like I'm in a box.
Yes.
I feel like I'm going to implode, and I don't completely understand why. Right. I'm awkward, socially awkward. I know things. I don't know why I know them. Mm-hmm. Society has rules for me that should be easy to follow. Mm-hmm. I can't follow them.
Okay.
I can't fit in.
Yes.
I can get a degree.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I can be smart, but I can't, I have trouble focusing.
Mm-hmm.
I would be diagnosed if I would allow myself to be so. And of course I will not, but I would definitely be diagnosed as ADHD adult.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
And prior to 2.5 years ago, I was trying to manage that just a little bit holistically. I already knew better.
Right.
Okay, in a lot of things.
Right.
Not to insult anybody that
Right.
need to take medication, because if it would have been worse, I would have needed to take, that's
Right.
okay.
Right.
But I was managing what I needed to manage, holistically for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But I still thought of it as something bad. Like I didn't realize that the natural abilities I had, the energy levels I had, the inability to focus all the time, the lapses in time, all of these things were for a purpose, and they work perfectly with me now. Now that I can fully be exactly who I am, all of those things are for a reason.
Exactly.
I don't need to meditate for 2 hours straight.
Okay.
That's not how I work,
Okay. Okay.
Many people can meditate and meditate and meditate and be very still and quiet, and that's what they are comfortable doing, and that's what they should do. While others, and this is probably going to be a shock to some people who might listen to me and hear the channels, and you might imagine that I would meditate. I have 2 boys. I have an 11-year-old and a 16-year-old that I homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
If I meditated for, 40 minutes at a time even, I would probably get out maybe a video every month and maybe do some work helping people. Like I would never be able to do it all.
Right. I got you.
So what my guides did, and actually the Arcturians most of all did, was just teach me how to focus in little spurts.
Okay.
So I began by meditating 11 minutes at a time.
11, that's good.
11 minutes at a time.
Right.
Okay. And then I would stop. And then 11 minutes. And after a while, you've trained your brain to go into theta state.
Okay.
Instantaneously is what we've done. Just little spurts of time. So it's little things like that. So for somebody who has, I guess the point of this is whatever we think our flaws are, right? And things that are wrong with us are actually probably natural things that would bring out who we came here to be.
Exactly.
When nurtured in the right way.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. Now, so share with us. So now, if you want to go to the because I might take you back a little bit, okay? Because I know that your sister had the first book, and then Mom, who was a closeted spiritual person, went to church but was in the closet. She introduced you to Edgar Casey and Sylvia Brown, and so from there, so that's where we were in the chronological.
Yeah, and I'm going to put you in the mind to just how out of the ordinary. You may be able to relate to this. All of this is what I'm doing, even to this day. This is not an approved situation in what you would consider my immediate and extended family. Okay, I know that's not a rarity.
I'm the same way.
And my mother was actually a concert pianist, a music teacher.
Okay.
All of these things. My father, flew a helicopter and cause he was retired military.
Okay.
So I'm not saying all these things. I'm just saying we were like super suburban. You're supposed to do this. You were supposed to do certain things. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I got you. Yes.
Okay. So this is, when I say in the closet, is really in the closet. Not necessarily for me. Now, I definitely did rebel out loud.
Okay.
Just not in the ways that I would have had I known what was really going on, but I was not allowed to know from spirit what was really happening for years. Like I went through a lot of stuff, little wake ups.
Yes.
So that happened with Sylvia Brown or reading her books. And I didn't get many more books other than that until a little bit later when Deepak Chopra came along.
Okay.
So very mainstream. I still didn't know anything. Like I didn't know anything about Esther Hicks.
Okay.
And Abraham.
Yes.
That was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know anything about extraterrestrials and us being related to them in the way that we are.
Bashar. Are you familiar with Bashar?
I am.
Yes.
But I didn't know anything about Bashar. I didn't know
Uh-huh.
anything about any of these people. And so I started to, with Deepak Chopra, it was easy for me to connect to him or connect to what he was saying, because in my consciousness, the words he was using, like human consciousness, the first time it was being put that way. And it was from a perspective I could understand as I was going to very soon be getting a psychology degree. Now I had a degree in music because that was what my family did. You know, a family full of musicians, not a master's, just that's what I went to get my first degree in.
Okay, very good.
And then, well, yeah, I'm just saying that, that to say it was so like different, you know?
Yes.
So all that was going on, but I should stay there for a minute, because while I was getting that music degree, it was not an easy thing to do. Not because I wasn't good at singing, not because I wasn't good at any of it. I mean, I could do any of it in my sleep, but I never fit anywhere.
You never felt like you fit in.
I always had to make it look like it fit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know why.
Right. I know exactly what you're saying. Yes.
So I want to make that point. Nothing ever made sense.
It didn't feel natural.
No, the singing felt beautiful.
Okay.
But why was I being, you know, made to do this thing in an uncomfortable setting? And why was it competition? Why can't I help everybody? Why is one thing, none of these things ever made sense, but it seemed silly to me. I just say to myself, well, that's silly. Everybody does this. Why would you even argue over this? Of course people have, but I knew, like, this doesn't feel right. You know what I mean?
I do.
This whole, like, you know, being in a classroom with a bunch of other kids who their energies felt different, but I didn't even know how to say it that way back then.
Right.
You know, that it was the energy. I just knew I felt it, but I didn't know what that meant. You know, I would never have known to say the energy feels, their energy's butting up against mine, and that's why it's
right. You felt uncomfortable. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, detail wanted to come out there. So yeah, it was definitely that was definitely. And so as a result of that, I never measured up. You know, I would, you know, do all of these wonderful things, and the next thing you know, I'm leaving school and going to do something else, or I'm doing something else. You know, it was like I would never just go ahead and be successful. That's you know what I mean. I would never. Yeah, it was.
I was that same person in my family. Trust me. It was only two of us, me and my brother. My brother was 18 months older than me. My brother did exactly what he's an attorney, a partner at his law firm. He did exactly what was expected of him. Me? Nah. Okay. So I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yep. And maybe when that happens, you get this, you know, this learned belief that, well, I'm never going to measure up to anything. I'm always going to disappoint everybody. I'm saying this, not saying I feel that way, but I'm saying this is what's happening with people, you know, especially people when they have started to wake up like that and they feel different. And that's why they try so hard to assimilate, because they want to feel like they're not disappointing everybody. They want to feel. So all of that was going on.
Right.
You know, and so I'm just going to fast forward through it. This will go way too long if I go through the whole, I mean, I got married after that.
It's okay. I got my bottle of water.
Got married after that, had kids. And all of that was in large part because it felt safer, especially since it never felt like I could do anything right?
Okay, gotcha.
So something had to be normal. Of course, in the grand scheme of things, it's all perfect.
It is.
So the me that started to wake up, you know, before the final, like, oh my gosh, this is all, you know, when the dominoes fell down at the end there, the me waking up and waking up and waking up was always like, what, something's not right here with each phase of everything. Like there was always something missing. And so fast forward. We run into Abraham Hicks.
Okay. Wow. Okay, can I share what I want to share, because I want to share, because when you said that, I'm thinking, for me, it was a 30-year search of, because nothing felt right, and that one piece of the puzzle was science. That was from What the Bleep, which I got in 2007. Now, I discovered Abraham Hicks in 2010. It was a day, I'll never forget the day. It was 9/10/11. No, wait, I said that wrong, because it was in 2010. So it was 8/9/10. It was August 9th, 2010. So, because somebody pointed that out to me, it was 8, 9, 10. It was, yeah, August 9th, 2010, when I was having a really bad day. I mean, and it's like, I'm like, wait a second, I believe in the law of attraction. So I'm having a really bad day, and I'm attracting this day. I'm creating this day. I own that. So I get on YouTube, and I'm not YouTube, on Google. And I just type in law of attraction.
Okay.
I found Abraham Hicks.
Okay.
I started listening to Abraham Hicks every day after that. But that's how I found Abraham in August of 2010. Go ahead. All right.
I didn't find Abraham until I believe 2000 maybe around the same time, maybe 2011. Everything really didn't hit till right around 2012. Nope. Okay, so I had to figure that out in my head really quick. So when I discovered Abraham, it was the first year, because I was trying to figure out, I've got to do something that makes sense with me.
Right.
I'm not going to get on stage and have people pay to hear me sing what I already love to sing and compete and be in that environment. That's basically corporate America, to be able to sing.
Right.
I just couldn't stand that. And then, so I wasn't going to go back and get a master's in that, but I felt like, even though it wasn't true, this was not the truth.
Okay.
But, the me then that didn't understand felt like I had to do something that was incorrect. Okay.
Okay.
However, it was still perfect.
Yes.
So So I went and I decided I'm going to get a degree in psychology, because that's a way that I can truly help people.
Yes.
I want to figure out what's going on with people. Why are these dynamics not working between people? Why are people so mean to each other? Why don't they understand how to just love each other? All of these things.
Yes.
And in my naivety, right? If I'm saying that right, my naivete, or however you say that.
Yes.
I thought, well, this field of science, didn't know at the time how that would be.
Right.
Would be the way for me to do this. Well, I get into this field. And because I'm older, they let me in the research department and everything, even with an undergrad, which is normally you have to be getting a master's. But, when you come in and you're already a mom and a wife and you're very responsible, you can maybe get into somebody's lab. So I did.
Okay.
I did research on depression and behavioral activation and these sorts of things for a little while. And I observed what was going on in there.
Right.
And it wasn't, so when I say this, and you listen to me, so you might know what I'm going to say next, but I just do want anybody listening to keep their heart open and understand that all of these people play a bigger role that they don't understand they're playing.
Yes.
So I want to say that first. But what I observed was people coming to us who didn't have anywhere else to go, because you have to pay, right, to become healthy in this country. Like,
yes.
I don't want to get started. There's so many things out of balance there.
Right.
So coming to us to get a little bit of help, healing, and just to have some community, to have some relief. And we are there, like the individuals in the room do care about it, but because of all of the other nuances of the system, and all of the other things that we have to learn, we only can take this specific avenue to help them. And then we have to keep a safe distance emotionally, right? I don't know if you know this about the psychology and psychiatry and medical community in general, but especially psychology.
Okay.
This is the truth.
Okay.
Not down in psychologists. Any psychologist listening is going to know I'm telling the truth, and they're also going to understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
That there might be something wrong with this. Now, I will say that how the system is set up does require that. You have to operate that way, because legally there are so many things you can't do. But see, therein lies the
problem,
the inherent flaw in not operating systematically through the heart at all times.
Exactly.
So it's not the fault of the people, right?
No.
So it was immediate contradiction.
Right.
Also, within the department, you're dealing with people who come in. Same reason I come in. Most people who go into the field of psychology want to understand themselves in the first place, and they want to understand everything. And that's a wonderful reason to go into it.
Right.
But then they get in there, and there's that cognitive dissonance. Remember, you get in there and you're supposed to be in there wanting to help everybody, but you're treating everybody around you like they're the enemy. They're your competitor rather than your, other self.
Right. Yes.
You know, a person, a human.
Yes.
You're not coming at it from the perspective of healing everything around you. You're coming at it from a perspective of bringing yourself up to a certain level so that you can support a family. See the difference? So
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with supporting a family and earning money, but
Right.
there is the inherent flaw in all of these systems.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and so the systems, that is what right now we are recreating now on an energetic level.
Yes. Yes, I know this to be true. I know this to be true. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
For me, it's an inner knowing. I always say, I'm not a psychic, I don't channel, but it's an inner, I've always followed an inner knowing, an inner, even when I had no idea, it's my higher self guiding me. And no matter what is other people are saying or doing, even as a young child, I was following my inner guidance. And that, you know, it's like that made me the black sheep of the family. Like, why? I'll never forget my parents saying to me, my father saying to me when I was quite young, why can't you be more like your brother? Yeah, and you know, and that's something. I mean, and I know, and he's in spirit, and I know our parents did the best they could with what they know. Everybody does.
Perfect job.
Everybody does.
The perfect job, and we picked the job to trigger us.
Yes,
right?
we do pick our parents. We did. We picked them.
And it was like perfect timing. Like there are your dominoes right there.
Yes.
Right there. Yes. And then, you know, it came to me when you were saying, you know, I'm not a psychic and I'm not a channel and all this. Like the Arcturians are always saying to me, it's semantics. The Pleiadians did too. You know, these are all labels. We're saying this through this verbal, archaic use of communication.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And it's we're all of it, but it's just which way are you floating your purpose? Like, what are you directly supposed to be doing and what are you choosing along the way? Because it's a combination of most of us, not all, will come with a specific purpose. Well, all of us with some sort of purpose, but some of us really, really rooted, you know, it's a specific sort of purpose. But then even then it can change and sort of maneuver depending on what happens, because even as all of these things are being created, and it shifts and changes, we may need to shift and change with that. It just depends.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. One thing is not more important than the other at all.
Exactly.
None of it. It's all important, and we all are literally doing this together. Even when we don't even with those who aren't even awake to it.
Of course.
A lot of them don't even know they're in the astrals with us.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Well, I'm getting a lot of them, it's from their higher perspective still. They're not necessarily in the astrals with us. That depends.
Right.
But now from their higher perspective.
Exactly.
There are perspectives of them, in other words, that are higher in frequency. I'm just saying that for people that may be listening that might not think of it that way. Because again, this is semantics. These are different ways to say, you can say the same thing like 50 different ways, you know?
Exactly.
So the language I'm going to use is about frequency and vibration. We'll just use that language, you know?
That's my language.
Yeah. Okay. And so, there are different aspects of us. And let me tell you, when I learned about that blew my mind.
Okay.
That blew my mind, the way that I learned that there were it was through YouTube. That's why I decided. And
that's my education right there.
Because we don't know. It's not that people on Earth did not know, but we were not privy to this information, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. And so cat's out of the bag now.
Well, it was for me. It was Seth, the Seth material.
Oh, I forgot Seth. Seth is another one.
Because I went from Abraham to Seth, and because the reason I went from Abraham to Seth is because Esther would always talk about Jane Robert and how they met. And that's what, you know, how she got started in channeling was through Jane Robert. And so I was like, and I read Seth Speaks, and that's when I first learned about the multi-dimensional selves is through Seth. Yes. And then from Seth I went to Bashar. So those were my early days of channel material. Yes.
See, and I didn't even know about Bashar until probably 2 years ago. 2.5 years ago at the same, it's like, so Seth, I knew beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I found out about Seth and Jane Roberts right around the same time I found out about Abraham Hicks.
Okay.
And I can't remember, but it may have been that she mentioned Seth.
Yes.
But there were other.
What drew me to Seth was Esther. Yes.
Right. And so I'm trying to remember, is that how I came into, I just can't remember. I know she did mention Seth, but there were other little sprinkles of information because I found Abraham Hicks on YouTube.
Okay.
Just happenstance, but see, nothing is happenstance.
Nothing.
You know, little breadcrumbs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then about, I think it's let's see, we're in May right now. So yeah, it'd be about 2 years ago, 2018. Yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
I ran into, I stumbled upon a video that mentioned the event. I have to really pull this out of my memory, right?
Okay, I know what you're talking about, the event. Yes.
And I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
Had no idea. I didn't know about QHHT,
Yes.
you know, the quantum hypnosis or any of these things.
Okay.
But up to that point, you know, I'd been through a lot of discovery. With not necessarily quantum physics, but just metaphysical things in general.
Yes.
And just little touches here and there. And I knew that there was somewhere I was going. I knew that something had to happen. But I never expected it like this.
Okay.
So it was really so out of the blue, literally in the kitchen in my house in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I'm in Florida now, but that's where I was raising my kids. Okay. At the time, my husband at the time.
Okay.
And so, yeah, just going through, and I said, well, I wonder what the event is. So I looked that up and stumbled across another YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I heard this channeling, and I didn't know what any of this was at the time, from an Arcturian through a human, just like me. Yes. She was channeling an Arcturian who she said was her higher self. I didn't understand.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was like, what?
Okay.
And it was, I could feel, well, I'm very clairsentient anyway, so clear feeling.
Yes.
Okay. And as you know, I'm being clear so everybody know. But so, and I could feel just all over me, all of the verification. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
The confirmation of what she was saying.
Yes.
In this channeling. Yes. And it was just saying, open your heart, things about that. And it was something about, because it's been a while, obviously, but something about it's time for you to step into who you are, something like that, or something, or it's the gifts that you have been given. That's what it's about, the gifts that you have been given. It's time to really, you know, and I didn't know what, I was like, what is happening? What is this? You know, so instantly I investigated.
It's time to remember who you are.
Right. And she didn't say it quite that way in that one.
Right.
That specific phrase came a little bit later, but with her, this was so beautiful because she was saying, whatever you're doing, it was about the purpose. It was about all of you there who you know these things aren't right, or you know this is going on. You are creating this new thing, and I wanted to know what this new thing was. And in there somewhere, because she also had some light language videos. Okay. And I want to say, I'm trying to think of her YouTube channel. I will think of it.
It's all right.
Okay, but she also had some light language in there, and I had no idea what that was.
Okay.
She had some of it written. She had some of, she was speaking it. I don't think she sang it. All of this, brand new. Right. No idea. But I thought, this makes so much sense to me. I don't know what this is, but the light language looked like language to me. You know what I mean? Like I was deciphering the symbols. Do you know what I mean? Like I knew that was giving me information. Like it all made sense to me, even though she wasn't in that instance telling me what she was doing. Exactly. So anyway, so those things happened, and slowly but surely, I just began to investigate. And so that's, from there, of course, there are many, many, many other steps. Yes. That led me to discovering, because I knew I was feeling things, and I thought up until that point that it was just anxiety and maybe some ADHD that needed a little bit of management. I had no idea that my body was just doing what it came here to do. It was picking up on everything. Yes. That's all it was doing. Yes. And so I took some steps, began to realize that I was able to, first of all, read tarot cards. What? I had no idea. Like, And it was another thing I stumbled on. I was
Okay.
trying to get a reading from someone. It didn't make sense to me. And finally I said, you know what? I'm just going to try this myself.
Okay.
This is how things happen perfectly for who it's supposed to happen for, right?
Exactly.
Because that is when I began to hear and feel confirmation. And that was it was more than a clue. I want to say the word clue, but it's so much more than that. That was when I understood that my body was communicating, and my field, even though I didn't say field at the time.
Right.
I understood that I was communicating directly with those in the other dimensions. They were signaling me when it was right, wrong, indifferent, how I was interpreting them. They were instantly telling me.
Wow.
Now, who were they? That came later, right?
Okay.
They were my guides. They were also the Arcturians, but I didn't know that yet, because you think of things like, well, you're not big enough to do this. You're not meant to do this. Who are you? You're nobody. How can you channel a group of beings? Who are you? You know what I mean?
Right.
Slowly but surely, I asked the questions, and they're like, yeah, no, you are supposed to channel us.
Yes.
Yeah, we will meet you. It was like literally, I set up a meeting. I watched somebody's YouTube video.
Yes.
That same summer.
Okay.
Who said early in that summer.
Right.
I think it started like that April.
Okay.
And then just, near to summer.
Okay.
And somebody said, you should formally just ask for the being to meet you. Now, I didn't know anything, right? But I was very heart-centered. So I probably lucked out there, because now I understand that and especially at that time, you could have other things interfere.
Right.
So it's important for me to say that in case somebody's watching.
It is. Yes. It's all about frequency. Like you said, everything is frequency. So long, because I've heard people say, well, I'm afraid to kind of communicate with spirit because maybe, a lower entity. I'm like, no. It's all about your vibration that you're putting off. Lower entities can't even see you if you're putting off a high vibration. So you surround yourself with light and love. When you want to communicate with the other side of the veil, as I say, you surround yourself with love and light, and you ask for your higher self, your guides to protect you, and you want the highest being to come speak to you. So that you are in control of who comes to speak to you. Yes. Right.
And what I say is, surround me with light. And I just ask directly source energy. I think of source kind of the way Sylvia Brown put it, which I know I don't find that many people who do this, but many people do kind of refer to the masculine and the feminine of source. That there are two aspects as one.
Yes. Matter of fact, we were talking about the Bible earlier, and we were saying mistranslated, because the Bible in the original translation, it said mother, father, God. It wasn't masculine, but when it got translated, it was mother, father, God in the original version of the Bible. Yes.
Everything is balance. Everything.
Yes.
And so I will refer to, and this could go either way for any person, doesn't matter, but I refer to the mother goddess, because for me, she's the mover. Okay. I'll just say it like that. She's the one. And then the father is the constant. And so that is a way that it works for me. And so she surrounds me with light. And then I ask that nothing enter that is not in alignment with my higher self's highest intent and purpose at all times. And I go even further, learning this from Archangel Michael, and through learning a lot about healing with Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael, I ask, can they be healed if they come in contact with your light? So in other words, if a being tries to enter into that field, which is surrounded by the light of source energy that I've just requested, it will be healed. To the extent that it is divine will, and that the higher self of that being, because these beings who we consider our enemies, and we consider this and that for the purposes of this duality, are also, though they are beings, they're still from source, and they still require healing.
Everything. Now, I said that too. I said that recently in a video I did of mine to let people know, especially in the times that we're living in, it's never them versus us. It's always just us, always. So we have, as individuals, we have a shadow side. Collectively, we have a shadow side. And I don't know if anyone is familiar with the term deep state cabal, but the deep state cabal, and I did a video on this, is our shadow side collectively. They're not separate from us. Nothing is separate from us. It is all source. It is all God. And so, yes, that's very important, that anything that does come near you, you can raise your vibration to because light can transform the dark. It's not about light versus dark. It's about light transforming the dark back to light where it originally came from. Because all things come from source. All things come from the light. Yes.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And so if we come from that perspective, that's when we get to rise above to this next, let's call it the next level. Let's call it the next level of experiencing when we come out of, well, it all comes down to us acknowledging our power. Because if we don't acknowledge our power, how can we live within it? How can we operate? Think of moving and operating in this society that we say we want, we do want.
Yes.
But I'm saying on the physical conscious level, we say we want it. Okay, higher perspective wants it. So that's a done deal. You know, we're going there. But to get our body to begin to agree, you got to start, acknowledging the power that really we are able to exhibit and bring forward and really believe it. Like, no, not even believe, no. Just
no, it's a no. Exactly. And I want to interject here because it's so important for people to understand this right at this time, especially 2020, and what we're in right now, is to know, because for me the word no means belief on steroids. It's a no, like I know. I know, like breathing, and when you know, and it has to be a knowing of your own innate power. That way, this is universal law. No other entity can enslave you without your permission. And we as a collective, have been giving over our permission with fear, with not knowing who we are. And so we have been giving over our power. But when we wake up and know that we are sovereign, and I use that word a lot now, sovereign, divine beings of light, connected to source, never separate from source. When we know that, like breathing, nothing or anything can enslave us.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And here's an obvious reason why that is too, because the very perpetrator that would try to interfere and come through and take the rights, the divine right of the sovereignty, would be healed, because we would be in a healing state all of the time.
Yes.
We wouldn't see it as a threat. We would see it as a patient, if you will. We would see it.
Yes.
And this is coming through now. And so this is how what we would describe as higher beings, beings of higher frequencies, operate, is from this perspective at all times. And so they're unable to be interfered with from that perspective. Their course can still change. They still have a degree of polarity, but it is much more balanced. In other words, the degree to which they experience what we would perceive as discomfort is very, very low. They would not perceive such a range of discomfort.
Right.
Because they would not be tolerant of such energy in their space, and the energy would be automatically healed. And so that's a different way to look at developing this new society that we want to branch into.
Yes.
Rather than looking at the extinguishing of certain things and the fight, we can look at the transformative effect that we can have over everything.
Yes. I'll always stress that it's not light versus dark. It's light transforming the dark back to light, because it originally, everything comes from the light. So I love how you said that. Now, because I know you have insights to the 5D new earth. Can you describe that for us?
This is an interesting, complicated question
Okay.
that you seek the answer to. This is a divine interlude, if you will, that's happening right now. As things are being developed, discussed on other levels as to which way the systems will manufacture themselves, there is a bit of manipulation happening right now within the different processes. By this we mean your education system, the foundation of that must crack. The medical system, the foundation of that has cracked. Things are cracking underneath, and there's a bit of manipulation coming up through the cracks. We understand that you perceive this word manipulation with a negative stigma. This is not the way that we intend this word. This is, by manipulate, we just simply mean things are being intricately moved around underneath in the knowing of the people, awakened or not, who are in these fields. It is as though there are little strings being moved. Like you have a set of strings, like on a violin or some sort of string instrument, and you're moving one string to the other side, and you're moving one string here, and you're tightening a string this way, and your things are just slightly being moved so that people can perceive it on a different level. Not the broad population. That's not what we're saying. We're saying the people within the system who didn't know that there was anything wrong with the system. They were living according to their own purpose at the time to maneuver in the thickness, the heaviness of the energy that was, which is now being transformed.
Right.
As this occurs, this new place is also being formed. And of course, all of these things are now. So of course, there are different versions of this now.
Yes.
Different timelines have been created. There is a definite timeline, she was asking. There is a definite strength of a timeline. But what it appears to be on the other end, once all of the collective energies have reassimilated themselves, in other words, once, picture each of these individuals that we're talking about. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of individuals just in your country, just in America, the United States, just there. And then you're talking about millions, billions of people all over the world. But in particular, we're talking about countries that are civilized, so to speak. So if each of these individuals has to move all of these strings or these blocks around and reconfigure little by little, then the collective consciousness takes a while to catch up. So in other words, the entire picture doesn't catch up for some years.
Okay.
Some years, some decades.
Okay.
But individually, you can perceive, according to your own maneuvering that needs to happen, these things much, 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 much sooner.
Okay.
This is beneficial for the entire human consciousness, for you to jump ahead, step ahead, and begin to perceive these things as soon as you wish.
Okay.
Because it aids energetically. It is as if you have a string pulling the rest along. You're pulling the rest along.
Okay.
With your energetic magnetism of frequency.
Yes.
That is all.
Okay. Wow. No, I I totally get what you're saying. You know how I get what you're saying? My experience of this shutdown has been nothing but bliss. And I know that hasn't been the case for everybody. But I picked out a song dedicated to the Cabal, and the song is "Thank You" by Lena. I love it. She's a German artist, and I was singing that song to the Cabal, thanking them because what is happening now is the catalyst for humanity's awakening. What can I do but thank you? You know? And I'm serious. And I was doing my exercise walk yesterday, and I'm serious. My neighbors must think I'm crazy because I was singing, and I can't sing. You could sing. I can't sing. I was singing that all during my walk at the top of my lungs. Thank you, thank you, thanking the draconian deep state cabal for putting us in this lockdown situation, because you're inspiring humanity's awakening. And it's a heartfelt thank you. It's not a sarcastic thank you. It's a heartfelt thank you. And matter of fact, my cousin got mad at me because my block, I live on the cul-de-sac, has been in party mode for the past 6 weeks. Whenever the sun is out, we are out. The kids are out there playing up, and nobody masked, nobody gloves. Everybody's going to house visiting everybody. We're in party mode. We've been having a block party on my block for 6 weeks. And so
it wanted to come in as you were saying, talking about thinking the cabal, the deep state.
Yes.
They were going to come through me some more, but so basically what they were saying is, that as we begin to distance and disconnect ourselves from perceiving this deep state, not necessarily an individual, a person or whatever, but yes, that too.
Right.
The sooner we disconnect from the structure of it, the theme, if you will, the theme, all of it, it is happening. While this is happening, it can also not be happening. In other words, and that's confusing because, and this is me talking, this is not them talking. They did say that, but I'm coming in to say that that's confusing because some people think that means that we're ignoring the problem. And I understand that. When they say that, I get why they're saying it. It makes perfect sense why they're saying it.
Yes.
Because it feels like you're turning a blind eye to something that's clearly, like, in their perception, and it is a reality. It is happening, right?
Yes.
They think, well, you just don't care. But what's happening, and you know what? That's also a stage. That's also okay to feel that way and be in that fight mode at the time.
But
because without the fight mode, but without the initial fight mode, remember we talked about the rays earlier.
Right.
Without that, you don't have the domino effect of the people, realizing that anything's going on. So all of this is important. What's happening on stage, everybody. But what they were coming through and saying, and then I cut them off, is that if we operate from within a perspective that we understand that that's happening, but yet we are going to know a state in which it's not happening, again, being in the knowing, and then no longer having our attention on it, this is when it will no longer have its element of structure, is the phrase they gave me. That's not them that's what I heard.
Okay.
So, and I want to know what they mean by that, but they're saying it will no longer hold its integrity. It will not have its structural integrity intact to exist.
Mm-hmm.
If there are people who wish for it to exist and they want to continue that, they can go and find it. But the majority who clearly do not, because the human consciousness has called for this different thing to happen, will more easily be able to detach from the goings on of said structure, and it will disintegrate. It will no longer have the structural integrity to continue.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. I know exactly what you're saying, because that's what, it's not that I'm totally aware of what's going on, but I'm not giving my energy and my vibration to that. So I'm not saying, I'm extremely aware, and I've been on for weeks, for 2 months, trying to share the wisdom online that this open your eyes. I have a new series it started. It's called 2020, the year of clear vision. Open your eyes. And I've been doing these videos about 40 minutes long, showing evidence. I'm going to CDC, getting charts off of CDC showing that the death toll rate, not of what people die from, but the death toll rate is going down in the United States. I get facts. I'm like, people, yes. I'm like, people, open your eyes. So no. I'm wide awake. I totally am aware, but I don't give them my, because I know whatever you give your attention to, you're giving it energy. I don't give them a drop of my energy. I know what you're doing. It's like, I see you over there. I see you, but I'm going over here and I'm partying because I'm keeping my vibration high. And I love to see it's not just me, it's my entire neighborhood.
Isn't that something?
Like that, yes.
Who don't even have a clue about the larger I mean, I totally understand what you're saying. Because it's like you have to have a foot in the world, I mean, in that, to understand how to just like navigate, you know, normal things. Like you got to get food. You have a neighbor. I have kids. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you have to have a foot there.
Yes.
But then there's the stability of being in the knowing here. So I get it.
Yes.
And that's what they're saying. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally very aware, and all the work that I'm doing is to help others be aware. I don't know if you're familiar with Magenta Pixie. She's another, okay. Well,
I haven't listened to Magenta Pixie in a while though. So like a while, not on purpose. I just.
Right. I understand. No. I'm the same way. Cause people ask me, have I heard another podcast? I'm like, I'm so busy working on my podcast. I don't have time to listen to other podcasts, but what Magenta gave, she got a download a couple of weeks ago, and she said she had to share it immediately. It's 3 steps, 3 steps to be aware of the dark agenda.
Okay.
Be aware of it. To be aware of it, do not give it your power. When you know I am, and I say this all the time with a knowing, I am a sovereign, divine being of light. I am free. I am free. I am free. I'm giving marching orders to the deep state cabal's agenda. No, they can't touch me. When you know who you are, they can't touch you. And then the other one is to know that we're one. To know that they're not separate from us, to know that they are our shadow side, because 5D is all about unity consciousness. There is no separation in 5D.
There's another thing that people don't think about. I'm sure some people do, but I'm just saying in general, the people that come to me, okay, people move in and out. And we've already talked about this, even in waking up. But imagine if you're unawakened.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But you have your higher self, and we know this is possible, coming to you, giving you things. You don't know that's what's happening, but you can call it your intuition. We used to think it was, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They aren't always listening. Some of the time they are, some of the time they're not. So the point is, these things, these different operations going on, these people, these whatever, I don't pay them any mind, but they're moving in and out of figuring out where they fall. Does that make sense? A lot of that's going on.
Yes.
And a lot of that just needs more healing. And a lot of our healing will pull them out of that. Will pull them up out of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Yes.
So I don't want anyone listening to this saying, "Oh, Caroline's got her head in the sand while the world's falling apart." No.
I don't think anybody thinks that, Caroline.
No,
you're in any trouble.
When I post things sometimes on Facebook, I told you about that earlier. But I stay in love and light. I respond in love and light, and I always say, and I understand a lot of people are in fear. I do. I have nothing but love and compassion for everyone on the planet, because I know everyone is a part of me. They're not separate from me. So I understand, and I also know that we are each divine souls having a experience of our own creation. So yes, I surround the world all the time with love and light. I surround it with love and light, and I do have nothing but love and compassion for anyone who's asleep. And it's okay, because not everybody has chosen to wake up in this lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll still perceive all of that, and that's
yes,
okay.
yes, and that's okay. And there's no judgment. There's no judgment, because we're all divine souls, and the majority of us, our higher self, has never left the spirit realm. It's just a small portion of us playing this role. And I like to say the cabal is just playing a role of the dark. You know, they're playing their role. We're playing our role of the light. We have roles to play. Yes. But it's all good. It's all good.
Yes, it definitely is. We're creating it now. That's what we came to do.
Oh, what I was saying to you before was my cousin. See, I'm in Pennsylvania in the Poconos, in a very rural, pretty much rural area, which I love. I could not live in the city. I'm not a city person. But my cousin, who's in Jersey, more of a city area, he gets angry if I tell him about the block party. He's like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. It's like, okay, I won't say it. I won't tell you. but we're having a ball here, you know. And it's not everybody on my block knows what's going on in the world. They still watch news. They know I don't. You know? They tell me if something happens in the news that they think I should know. They call me up because they know we know you don't watch news, you know. But it's just we're like I said, I live on a cul-de-sac. There's about 10 houses. We all know each other. We all love each other, and we're just enjoying life.
Well, Caroline, I got to tell you that when I decided, like once I realized what was going on and I could communicate, little by little it happened, higher self, and then some different guides, an Arcturian, an Orion guide, I have different guides, ancestors, and I realized all that was going on.
Right.
You had to differentiate. It came to a point where it was like, okay, you're either going to do this, and they'll support you either way. So they will support me either way.
Yes, because it's free will.
Either do this or don't do this. So when I came out, like completely, once I realized what was going on, I mean, I really did. And, my family, unfortunately, I love them very much, very, very much. But they will not call me with news. They will not, like I am, people can't wrap their minds when it's when you're so attached to this structure that you thought was reality.
Yes.
And then you begin to find that there's actually a different reality, and it doesn't look like what you thought. It's very difficult. It's very jolting.
Yeah. Well,
and everybody's not, I'm sorry, just what you were saying, everybody's not meant. And I had to, because it was very painful at first. It was very, very, very painful for me at first.
Yes.
But in the pain came the healing. So that's where all this integration that we're going through, that's what that is. Because we do have to have, try to raise our baseline frequencies to a certain point, but we're still integrating. We still have to feel the pain that comes in and feel it and all of it.
We have to feel it. So we have to feel it so we can release, so it can transmute. We can't take that baggage with us where we're going. So we have to feel all of that. So it's a cellular memory from past lives, from ancestral lives. And the ones that are awake now are healing the planet for the collective. It's not just you. We're healing.
You're going to feel that come through too. A lot of pain we think is ours.
It's the collective pain, and we have to heal it. We have to feel it. We have to feel it so it can come up and it can transmute. But what I was about now I think. But you were talking about your sibling or your family.
Oh, yeah.
With I only have one sibling, and we've never been close. I mean, we've actually closer now than we've ever been since both of our parents are now in spirit, and my son transitioned a few years ago. So since that, we're closer. My son, he's right here. He's the co-producer or co-host of the show. He's not gone at all. We're closer now that he's in spirit than when he was here in the physical. All is good. But my brother, it's surprising to me. We spoke on Easter Sunday, and he called just to ask me how am I doing. I said I'm fine, but I was actually have a conversation with him that I didn't think that I know I would not have been able to have a month earlier. It's because of what's happening. He's starting to open his eyes. He's like, no, what's happening is not adding up. And
Yeah.
he's actually,
And
we
that's a
actually had
purpose.
we actually had a conversation for the first time I'm 58, and he's 18 months older than me. And it's the first time
My
in
goodness.
58 years we had a conversation where he actually was listening to me. So I'm thinking,
First of all, you're not 58. I want to see ID.
my daughter is going to be 40 this year. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, my daughter is going to be 40 in November. So yes. No. November is Kyle, my son's birthday. She's October. She'll be 40 in October.
Okay.
So, but yeah, no, but and then I'm like, whoa, he's listening to me. There is truly a mass awakening going on. Yes. So maybe now you have that conversation with your family members. They might be, with what's happening now, they might be open to listen.
Well, I have my marching orders. I always ask what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's ultimately none of my business.
Yes, exactly.
All of my family members, I know they have souls, they came here with purpose, and they definitely, especially a couple of them, are not set to wake up anytime soon.
That's the cousin that yelled at me for sharing the. Okay, I have that cousin. No. I don't think he didn't choose to wake up in this lifetime, but it's okay. I love him anyway. Yes.
Well, I just let them know that, this is just for me. This isn't any indication what you should do. But for me, in order for me to just be able to be free to begin to understand my role, what I was supposed to do, I just politely had to ask them to leave my Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Sure did.
Okay.
And, but nicely. And I started it up for my son.
It's always, like I said, kindness, love. It's because for me, and I always say that, I shared this with you before we started recording. For me, there's two places we can respond and act from, and that's a place of love or a place of fear. And when we love, will always respond in kindness. But this particular cousin is not even on Facebook, so I don't have to ask him to get off Facebook. Now his sister, oh my goodness, you just reminded me of his sister, which I just have to. What I've been doing recently is just ignoring her on Facebook. But it's
I actually have to, Caroline, I actually have to protect myself. And I'm in all seriousness from the energies that literally come through, this space. What is this, right? We are perceiving this as space, but it's layer on layer on layer. So all you have to do is just project your intention, right?
Right.
But so there are some things that I say that literally have to block the energy. Now I don't have to do this with YouTube too much. Hardly at all. But Facebook is another animal.
Okay.
I'm just saying for anyone listening.
Yes.
Facebook, it has a lot of tumultuous energy. Yes. And again, it has purpose.
Yes.
Everything has purpose. But if you want to just continue to rise, you can know what's going on. But you have to, at some point, it is putting your foot down. And this was a lot of them reminding me over and over again. I told you about this. When I first learned, I sat down and I decided I was going to follow that YouTube instruction. The person on YouTube said, just set an appointment with them. And I'd never thought of that.
Right.
And I said, I'm literally going to ask them, can we meet it? And I'm making up the time, but can we meet it, 12 p.m. And can we do this? And I would hear yes. And at that time, I wasn't even sure the yes, I wasn't sure of everything yet.
Yes.
And so I would meet with them, sure enough, literally by maybe day 3. I don't even think it took 3 days. They were giving me instructions how to connect with them.
Wow.
Like very, very quickly. But as long as I was not afraid, when you drop the fear, and it took a while for me, like daily it was a thing. I'm going to drop a little bit more. I'm going to drop a little bit more.
Right.
I'm going to tell my family members not everything about what I'm doing, because it may not be their business yet. They're all beautiful. They're all loving souls that they're living their experience. And in order for me not to be blocked from what I'm supposed to do, not just for me to be comfortable, but for me to not be completely blocked off of what I'm supposed to do, I just have to say no to that energy. And I have to say, I love you. I'll see you on my kids' Facebook page. I'll see you over there. And I'll say hi to you and let you know that those kids are good, and they'll wave at you and they'll be goofy and be kids on their kids' Facebook page.
Right.
And that's just what, for someone else, it'll be a different thing. It won't be that they have to do that. But I guess what I'm saying is we have to give ourselves permission, to
Yes.
do whatever it takes to be fully engaged in the journey that
Yes.
we now realize we're on, because that's what happens. We realize, right?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So many
Okay.
are waking up. So
Right.
many. This is truly the mask awakening. And I realized that on March 21st, I realized, wow, this is, because I've been saying it since September of 2019. That 2020 is the year of clear vision. All I do is listen to channel messages, Arcturians, Pleiadians, Archangel Mike. I always say that wrong. Archangel Michael. You know, that's my news. That's my news channel.
That's right.
And so I've been clear vision. Oh yeah, 2020, that makes sense. And it's no coincidence that when the doctor says you have 2020 vision, clear vision, it's no coincidence.
That's no coincidence.
No coincidence.
Oh, that's a yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I knew something big was going to happen this year from day one, but I thought it wasn't going to happen to the end of the year.
There is something.
Yes.
Yeah. There will be a little more. So you're not wrong. All of these things flow together. So your information, although it may seem contradictory, is not.
Okay. So we're in for more.
But no fear. Not.
No. Oh, you know.
Right. We're going to experience
no fear. Yeah.
As we are, you know.
Yes.
There was something else I wanted to say before I forgot.
Okay.
It's going to come to me. About the relationships with the family members. It came in, you know, it's one of those things.
Yes.
So just to give an example of how close, because a soulmate we have so many soulmates. The term soulmate is a little bit loaded and a little bit broad and a little bit this, right? Right. But many of us, even if our family members aren't set to wake up, that's another characteristic of a Blu-ray, by the way.
Okay.
Many times we're alone. That's what makes it so tough to come completely out. We don't meet other people like us for a very long time, you know, and that's strategy. Like that's on purpose, right? From our perspective.
Yes.
And so, but those family members who aren't set to wake up, or friends or whatever it is, but you know, you can feel that they are obviously, you know, there to do good and whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
They are close with us on so many levels. Let me tell you what I know.
Okay.
I have a guide of mine who is an Orion. Well, I shouldn't say, or I don't have to say where he's from, but he is a guide who happens to be from the Orion system. Now, I know there's a lot of history there. So that was when I realized, because I realized about Pleiadian and Arcturian guides first, I believe, first. And then I realized that I had an Orion guide, and the feeling that I could feel from him was so warm and loving. Well, my Orion guide is actually a fractal of my ex-husband, the man that I'm divorcing now. That may seem like very personal information, but I want to say this to people who are, because so many people are going through like the different tension in the relationships and all of that, and not realizing that, but from higher perspective,
right,
you're being guided by their other aspects as well. You're so connected.
Yes.
It's all love. Like this thing that's happening right now with my family. On another perspective, if it had been 10 years ago, or if it had been, it could be so dramatic and horrible feeling and emotional turmoil. And no, because I realized all of this before. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's actually one of my guides, you know?
Right.
This is, you know, I have this guide over here who is this. I have this person over here. I have these people next to me.
Yes.
My mother I met later, because it took me a while to be ready to meet my mother, because I was still realizing early on that it was even okay to be me, that it was even okay for me to channel. Like that wasn't a thing in my house.
Right.
And so once I got brave enough, I asked about where my mother was.
Okay.
And that's a complicated story. We'll have to get another time, maybe, or I'll have to maybe write about it.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
But an aspect of her, long story short, had been my guide.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And of course, she's gone on too. She actually passed away some years ago when my first son was born.
Okay.
From lung cancer. And that how that worked out. You'll never believe.
Yes.
And guess what my son's name is? Now, this is before I ever knew any of this. He's 16. His name is Orion.
Oh.
I literally named him Orion. Had no idea. Didn't know anything about you know, us being connected in that way. I didn't even think of it. I just thought it's a constellation. I had no idea.
Okay.
This is his name.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, Spirit, they picked their names because Kyle told me, my son Kyle, who is in Spirit, he's been in Spirit now over 5 years. I started this show. I launched this show 6 months after his transition. I know there's no death. It's a long story. I won't go into here, but
I was a little bit about your story. So
okay. Well, I'll just say to the people that are listening that may not know, I was at complete peace when my son transitioned, but there's a long backstory as to why. I knew, but when he transitioned, at the moment of his transition, I knew he wasn't going anywhere. I knew it was a soul. He and I had this soul plan together. And I knew that it was his higher self's choice. That means a soul, our higher self, knows exactly the perfect time to come into this life experience and exactly the perfect time to leave. There are no accidents. You know, we think no, there are no accidents. So, and he actually stuck around 2.5 years longer so I could get ready for what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, but when I knew I was having a boy, I was about 8 months pregnant, probably about 8 months pregnant. Knew I was having a boy, had no idea what I wanted to name him. He came to me in a dream and told me to name him Kyle.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and now I am using that name. I have started the Kyle Foundation, and the Kyle Foundation, I spell Kyle in capital letters, Kyle, which is an acronym for Keep Your Light Expanding.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, but I just from the channel information I receive all the time, the children actually, they pick their names. They pick their parents and they pick their names. Yeah. So yes. Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely true.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. That realizing all of that in those moments, like once I realized I had a guide and who the guide was actually.
Yes.
You know, a fractal, an aspect, not his higher self, but an aspect.
Right.
And then I realized, you know, obviously it went there. And also then I was contacted by some angels from the Orion system. I've never talked to. There's a lot of stuff that I don't, because on my YouTube channel, I stick to the message that the collective calls for at the time.
Right.
So my directive is like, you don't need to tell your story a lot. And there's a reason for that. It's not because nobody's supposed to tell their story. That's not it. People are. That's why I came. But it's just not why I came. I will distract, basically, if I'm telling because there's so much of it. It's too much.
Right. I hear you. Did you write your book yet?
I mean, no, I have not written a book.
I'm working on it. I have like about 4 or 5 chapters written. So I'm working on it. Yes. Okay. Yes. And but this has been amazing. Please share with my listeners or the listeners that share how they can find you. I know mainly on YouTube, but give all your information so everybody can follow you.
Everything pretty much now. I meant to say pretty much now.
Yes.
It's through the same channel, so it's pretty easy. It's Yolanda Marie. And you know, it's Yolanda Marie on YouTube. It's Yolanda Marie on Facebook. It's the same picture. Do you know what I mean? Because there will be some other Yolanda Maries, but it's the exact same picture.
Okay.
You'll find things about quantum physics, and I could pull up. There's a video there. I think it's entering a new era of quantum realm understanding. So a lot of information that's incoming. So some of this will be what physicists already are coming to like accept, understand, they're trying to prove right now. And some of this will be little hints of detail are coming in more now to me and others. I'm not the only one.
All right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so a lot of channel. Oh, my goodness. And I can tell when I hear a channel message, it resonates as true. That's how I know. And basically all the ones I find that are channeling the Arcturians and the Palladians and Archangel Michael, all of it, it's just, I'm like, yeah. Because people say, well, if you're listening to all this channel stuff, how do you know what's real? It's like, my soul knows. And nothing actually I find it listens to is separating.
And your higher self, their higher selves will lead, our higher selves will lead us sort of to the thing that you need at the time.
Exactly.
So if you just like allow just the thing to come up. And of course, if you listen to something and it's like, oh, that doesn't make sense, just go to the next thing.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, you got this. It's like, no. And I've come across videos. I'm like, no, that's not me, and I keep it moving.
Yeah, that just means the information's not meant for you, or maybe not meant for you at that time.
Maybe, exactly.
Or maybe there's something,
Like The Power of Now. I bought The Power in one of my favorite books. I bought it when it first came out, and I had not awakened. So this was before the fall of 2007 is when I had my awakening to oneness. Because for me, understanding oneness, everything made sense to me. But I remember trying to read it before I had that awakening, and I read the first chapter, and I can't understand this book. I just closed it and put it down. I'm like, I couldn't understand a word of it till shortly after I had my awakening to oneness. I picked that book up again. I couldn't stop reading it, and I understood.
You know what this sounds like? It sounds like you're describing a Kundalini awakening as well. Many people go through that. I went through this, was it right after I had, well, anyway, I think around 2009, 2010. It's like 1 minute you're in a world that is sort of gray.
Yes.
And I'm almost being literal. Like, it looks one way, it feels heavy, and the next minute you find out something, and I can't even tell you what it was.
Okay.
I don't know. It wasn't Esther yet, but it could have been maybe something, maybe Deepak Chopra. I'm trying to think of somebody who I would have been. Right. Something ignited me. It could have been spirit too.
Yes.
And just and it was like all of a sudden I saw in Technicolor.
Oh, wow.
All of a sudden I saw people's hearts. I could see into them. I could feel into them, and I could no longer relate to them the same way. And you feel crazy in the world because you're on such a different frequency.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the rest of the world is this. And that's going on a lot right now.
Yes. Yes.
I was literally told not to even go outside yesterday.
Okay.
When I say told, I use that loosely. I don't want to give people the impression that they should obey something outside of themselves. But I do listen to my guidance. Right. Because it has not proven, it's not been wrong.
Exactly.
And so, I will be like, is this a good idea? And if it's like, no, I'll be like, okay. And I have many guides. I'll ask different guides. I'll ask the Arcturians. It was a clean across it was no. The energy off and on is very tumultuous. People are purging because they need to heal. It's got to come up. And there are people who don't know, they're unawakened. That's much more violent. That's much more. And it's not that the people will be violent. It won't look that way. Right. It's the energy.
And it's that energy of fear, because that energy of fear turns into anger and violence. Yes. Yeah.
So sometimes it's better. We want to be out and doing everything. We want to do everything. Yes. Sometimes it's better to just radiate out. There are no walls. Right. There's no wall there anyway. That's the percent. Energy is, and it's going to go wherever you project it. And so the best thing you can do is to keep rising in balance. Keep integrating, feel what you need to feel, but keep going in one direction. Keep moving forward, because you're that magnet. You're the one that is, those who are also purging and releasing, and their frequency is raising. Might not be as high as yours, but they're right behind you. Right. And if you keep looking back, you know what I'm saying? You're just going to meet them where they are. You cannot heal.
Exactly.
If you are where they are.
Exactly. They have to come up. I always say, like, if I try to always vibrate up here, and somebody could be down here, and I send them love and light, but I'm not going down there. I'm up here, you come up to me, okay? But I'll send you love and light, and I have compassion for you and no judgment. That's the one thing that truly is so grounded in my being is unconditional love, unconditional non-judgment. We're all divine beings on our own unique path. So if I see somebody, I'm going to send them love and light, but I'm not going down there.
Another way to think of it too. Yeah. Think of it as if you could ask that person's higher self.
Yes.
What do you need me to do?
Right.
Think of it from their higher self's perspective. Their higher self is never going to want you to go. They're going in the direction you're going in.
Exactly.
They're going to want you to stay steady.
Yes.
Ground everything for them, because they're on their way. The higher, and then about the judgment thing, that's so important too, because it's hard. We're coming out of that, energy of
Yes.
judgment. And that's just where it was.
Yes.
It's fine. We don't want to
Yes.
experience that polarity anymore.
Right.
So now the best thing to do would be just what you're doing. Look at them from the perspective of their higher selves.
Yes.
You're seeing, you know, the physical energy of them now in the dense energy of, we call it third dimensional.
Right.
So heavy, you know, it enjoys the polarity. It's addicted to a lot of things,
Yes.
you know, that have to do with pain and trauma. It doesn't understand that it has the permission to come out of any of that. It doesn't understand.
Right.
And so, but if you look at the expanded version around that being, like literally visualize that, well, that being is a completely different situation. And so no matter what the physical being here is doing,
exactly,
the expanded being is just emitting love. That's it. That's
Yes,
it. They're just waiting for them to catch up. That's all they're doing.
Yep.
So in that, from that perspective, we're exactly the same.
Yes.
We're no different.
Exactly. Exactly. Very true. Very true. This has been amazing. So you're in Florida where it's warm.
I am. I'm in Florida.
I say where it's warm because we've had some strange weather. We've had a couple of nice days, three pretty warm days. Today, I had to turn on the heat. I'm in the Poconos up in the mountains.
Wow.
Yeah, but normally I don't. I've been here 28 years and I can't ever remember having to turn on heat in May.
Isn't that something?
Very odd weather.
Very odd weather, and that's what I thought you said earlier too, because I know there are spurts of very odd happenings. And that's going to continue.
Yes. And I don't think, I'll just say this, I don't think it's all natural. Well, I don't think it's all natural, but it's all good. I don't think
there
it's
are a
all
lot
natural,
of different components happening.
Yes.
A lot of different components happening. And I will say, entities that think they are doing themselves a justice and still trying to, now this word manipulate is negative that I'm using right here.
Yes.
They're trying to, like, in a negative way, manipulate things. They're actually still instruments.
Yes.
So there's nothing happening that is actually to the detriment of us right now, although depending on, you know what I mean?
Right. It's all perspective. So no, I've honestly, because we had in the second week, I've been in the Poconos, and we have winters that are really bad, but this past winter was was one of the mildest winters. Now we're having worse weather in the spring than we had in the winter. Like, no. This week, about 2 weeks ago, it snowed every day. Are you kidding me? Mid-April. That's not, no. I was like, no. What are you guys up to? I just let them know I know you. Yeah, I know you're messing with me, but that's all right. I ain't gonna let it faze me.
It's coming on too. But last year in Wisconsin, I believe it snowed in April. First week or so. And it was odd. I mean, Wisconsin it's snow anyway, but I mean, this was odd even for where we live.
Yeah. But this has been amazing, sweetie. So thank you so much. And yes, I do listen to you all the time. And I will continue, and we will keep in touch. Now it's like you're in Florida. When we're all out of lockdown, I have someplace warm to go.
You do have someplace warm to come.
Yes. I have another girl. Matter of fact, you look just like my girlfriend that lives in Florida. I want to say she's on the west coast of Florida.
Okay.
I don't know Florida that well.
Well,
it's too flat for me.
It doesn't take long to get over there. I mean, I'm on the east side, but.
Okay. I think she's on the west coast, and I definitely have to check her out if I make a road trip to Florida. The only thing, I could not live in Florida. It's too flat for me. And you guys have alligator. So.
Listen, we were excited to see our first alligator.
Okay. Okay, no, they're all have a special purpose, but I just don't. I'm not. I have black bear, and they don't bother me. So
yeah. Oh goodness.
Well, this has been so great. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. This has been amazing. We are definitely going to keep in touch. Okay,
I'm happy about that. It feels very good. Thank you for letting us do this together. Thank you for arranging this.
Thank you. And also, we know that all things happen in perfect divine timing. So it was all of the universe conspiring to make this happen, which is great. Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
My love to you.
Love you. Much love.